What do CEOs need to know about sales these days? A lot. Outdated sales strategies and tactics plague most companies today. Listen to what innovative CEOs and experts have to say about how to change all that with Sales Talk for CEOs. Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, not selling, cookies. And I don't mean those annoying cookies that pop up on the website when you're going to search for something. I'm talking about the real thing, cookies that we all love to eat. And an amazing story of someone who during COVID got a crazy idea and turned it into a business that is now flourishing. It is very exciting to have Grayson on the show today with me from Grove Cookies.
Hi, Alice. Thank you so much. And it's an honor to be here. So
Yeah. Well, gosh, you have quite a story to tell. And I just got some news as we were chatting before we got on today, which is that you are now a full-time CEO for your company, as well as being a stay-at-home dad, which I just love. So we're going to want to hear some more about that. But first, tell us just a little bit about Grove Cookies. What do you do and who do you serve?
Yeah, well, Grove Cookies, was started here at our townhouse where I'm at right now. And we specialize in corporate gifting, specifically in the sales and marketing aspects of gifting, whether that's, prospecting, mid-cycle, direct mail. There's a lot of things we get utilized for in the corporate space, as well as, your employee recognition. So.
Because who doesn't want to receive a box of cookies? I mean, seriously.
95% of Americans eat a cookie a month.
There you go. And even if you don't eat cookies, when you get them, you'll be like, oh, great, my kids will love these, or my spouse will love these, right?
That's what I say to everyone. It's it's a cherished, nostalgic item that everyone kind of just perks up when they receive. So.
And good cookies, which I understand yours are very good, I think are hard to come by. I mean, the average cookie is out there at the supermarket. Who wants that, right? We want really, really good cookies that emulate what we might bake at home. And that's harder to do, right? But it's interesting to me that you decided to enter a pretty crowded market. So let's go back to the day that you got this idea and how you actually moved it forward.
Yeah, well, 2020, everyone was working from home, and my wife and I included, and she wanted a hobby in between meetings, and she is not a baker by any means. So we experimented with a few different items and landed on cookies because I love cookies. And when I took a bite of our Oreo cookie, which we still have, I was like, okay, this is real. And then we had some friends come over and they're like, you guys should sell these. And then that kind of put the bug in my wife's ears. So then in January of 2021, she was like, I really think we should try and sell these. And so we spent the weekend getting our LLC, different bank accounts, website, name. It's my wife's maiden name, Grove, and hit the ground running. So.
Oh my gosh. So how did you decide which kind of cookies to make first?
Well, I think the market is definitely showing that people want, far out cookies that are, unique flavors and everything along those lines. So we felt that going back to more of a traditional cookie, traditional size, call it like the perfect 4-bite cookie, was just that market seemed to be open at the moment. And then we were quickly introduced to corporate gifting through a financial advisor here in the Portland metro area. And when you get a client that wants to send out 500 gifts a year, you just are like, oh, there's a market here. Let's explore it. And that's what we did.
So there's a lot to do when you're talking about food and packaged goods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that are perishable. And so here you are starting a company. having not previously been bakers for
Yeah,
anyone else, or not having run a business before, right?
you're right.
And so you're trying to get this all organized.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had some help from some friends, but how did you get this first part figured out? Okay, this is the flavor of cookie we're going to bake. This is the packaging. Tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of wraps into your first couple of sales that you actually made.
Yeah, well, it really helps that my background's in supply chain, logistics, warehousing.
Ah.
So I'm a little confident in my shipping capabilities. So when our first client, the wealth advisor I mentioned earlier, was like, "Hey, can you ship these to us?" It was just like, "Yeah, we'll order off, Uline, get packaging here, we'll Amazon." And you just start putting things together, and you're like, "All right, here you go," and you present the product, and really it was just fine tuning it after that, because all that mattered to them at the moment was cookies do not break, and we succeeded first try, and we've really kept actually that core packaging to this day. We've added our own logos and more customized, and added more features as our first few clients started iterating on like what they wanted to see out of us. And so really listening to your customers, which is always important, and executing off of that.
Okay, so which was the first flavor of cookie that you made?
The Oreo cookie.
The Oreo
So
cookie,
it's
a tried and true,
yep, it was
right?
an Oreo, crushed Oreos in our dough with white vanilla chocolate chips. So yeah,
Just a favorite, right?
yeah,
And you had some friends tasting them. So was one of your first customers actually a friend of yours or somebody who a friend introduced you to?
it was my mom. She was the first sale. Yep, right after we got our payment processing figured out, and January 31st was our first sale, and that was to my mom. And yeah, I mean, like we literally spent that 2 weeks like, oh, people are going to come to our townhouse and buy cookies. We're in the metro area of Portland, and that just not going to happen. So yeah, we were very fortunate. We got introduced to corporate gifting in kind of that B2B, a professional sending to their clients or customers, and it just was a light bulb moment when we were told, hey, we're going to be using you 500 times a year or more.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. So these first customers, I'm assuming you were doing the selling. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so how did you go out and meet these people? So your first really big order, how did you meet them?
Yeah, my first real big order, I think, starts like most people, your network. So my friend and his father have that financial advisory firm that's very prominent here in the Portland metro, and they were like, we need a middle tier gift for our clients, and these cookies are perfect. Then that spurred into, well, there's a wealth advisor branch on the same floor at their corporate office. So I went next door and introduced myself, and you're just trying to build relationships, because at that point in time we were delivering to the wealth advisor offices, and then they were dispersing. So you just 3-4 times going into that other advisor's office, bringing cookies by, just built the relationship that we wanted. And then it just so happened my wife had to go deliver cookies to our first client, and she happened to go into that other branch that we were trying to, basically a prospect, trying to bring on board, and the managing director happened to be at the front desk. And so my wife technically closed our second deal. So,
Right.
it's, yeah, cookies, it was just like a perfect moment just to kind of capitalize on what cookies do, which is like building those relationships time and time again. Everyone
Cookies
remembers you.
just make people happy. I mean, you walk
Yeah,
into somebody's office with cookies, and they're going to turn you away? No, you
no,
have
no,
cookies. They're going
no.
to let you in. And so, were
Yep.
you literally walking around to these different offices and letting them taste your cookies?
No, I was cold calling.
On the
LinkedIn,
phone?
on the phone. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Everyone loves a cold call when you're talking about cookies. So I mean, like I said, we were really focused on the wealth advisor community, and they all have offices with admin, manning at the phones. So you're always going to get picked up. And it's just a matter of building a relationship. It's not a one call close. It's, you got to send them samples. You need to follow up. You need to do a lot of the things that, as you're well aware of, are in a normal sales cycle. We're just dealing with cookies.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So you're calling on these financial institutions, financial advisors and such. How did you hone in on them as your ideal customer for the beginning?
Well, I go back to our first client who was like, hey, we're going to use you as our middle tier gift for 500 or more clients a year. So that's 500 people.
Wow, if this financial advisor is going to do it, maybe another one.
Well, yes. Well, we lucked out that I'm friends with whose father is very good at his job, and not everyone has over 1,000 clients and does a marketing strategy around gifting, which is very unique. And I try to, explain that. That's part of our demo process, is talking about how gifting can be utilized as a marketing strategy on top of just being nice. It's a great way to spark conversation, because you go back to the financial advisor community, everything is referral based. More times you talk to your client outside of just, check-ins about portfolios. The chance or ask for a referral is a lot more natural at that point. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Now I'm curious, did you and your wife do any research into, well, first, competitive cookie companies?
Yeah.
And then second, what research did you do on corporate gifting once you figured out that was a really great idea?
We did not do a SWOT analysis. We did not do any planning. We just were two young adults, just trying to make use of our time at home during that time period. And corporate gifting, you just start getting feedback. The more people you talk to, more relationships you start building, the more feedback you get on like why people are corporate gifting. You start really realizing that holidays are always going to be our biggest time of the year. And you just start trying to piece together like those lull times in the season, right? Because Q4 is our busiest time of the year. And so that's what really kind of like moved us into that LinkedIn angle as far as marketing goes, because sales professionals always need to stay top of mind with prospects and past customers. And LinkedIn really pointed to the fact that we are onto something with corporate gifting. So I credit LinkedIn and the community there. So
just really basically feedback from everybody that you were talking to and working with. Because I think if you had done some research, you would have maybe been scared off, right? Because there's so many other gifting platforms. In fact, I've interviewed Sendoso.
Yep.
I know Alice, Postal. I've interviewed for, I think it's called Made with Purpose or something like that. And they're gifting company. There's so many of them. I've Tweak and Twine. I've interviewed them as well. Really all wonderful, wonderful companies and unique in their own ways, which is what I love. There is space in this marketplace for these unique ideas like you had, which I just love. And I do think that if you had done a little more research, you might have got a little bit scared off. So I'm glad you didn't. But sort of that typical entrepreneurial enthusiasm that just carries you, and you keep going and you get positive feedback, and that makes it all work. So, all right, you've been 3 years doing this. You got your very first clients very early, which was wonderful. And so you have grown quite a bit. Now, tell us a little bit about what the company looks like today, and who's doing all the selling now, or, besides yourself, is there someone else selling, and what's it looking like?
Yeah. So, gosh, that 2021 time period to today, like a lot of things have changed just in our ideal customer profile. A lot of those things, because it's kind of broadened.
Great. Yes.
Yeah. Because this is nothing revolutionary. We're just providing customer service, a good product, and executing on it. So, around that 2022 timeframe, we got introduced to the gifting platforms you just mentioned. So Sendoso, Postal, Reach Desk, Alice, which is now part of Sendoso,
Yes.
and really created partnerships, which I think is a very important part in today's economy, is creating those partnerships with like-minded companies that do similar things to you or provide the resources that you don't have as a smaller vendor, which is what we are on these platforms. And we are the furthest thing from a gifting platform. We're a cookie company that supports the gifting platforms and their customers, which is the pinnacle of a partnership, right? It's just it's a wonderful union we have with our gifting platform partners. So growing, we're now more than just my wife and I. So we're a team of 8. We have 4 bakers, three remote team members that are focused on our promotional marketing industry. Like we're exploring the promotional marketing industry because we do branding with our cookies, not on the cookies, but like gift messages and all those, important soft touches that go along with delicious treats. So they're doing sales and marketing with myself, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you wake up every morning, you're like, all right, what am I going to do today? I was thinking about it as I woke up. I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's get a few phone calls in. Let's see how cold email's going, LinkedIn DMs, and a lot of those early day founder sales stories. I mean, it's nothing new. It's just putting the work in. So.
Right. So tell us a little bit about how your ideal customer profile has changed. Started with financial advisors, great space, really big. I'm sure you're still in it. Where did you decide to go next?
Well, when we got introduced to our gifting platform partners, who are a lot deeply intertwined in the tech community, and the tech community being, I would say, 90% remote, it's a lot harder to build relationships. Whereas, some of like your medical device companies are more, kind of field sales personnel. A lot of the tech companies seem to be remote. And so finding that bridge and like, how am I going to bridge this cold call, cold email to a prospect, to a customer? Okay, so gifting becomes part of a play. And cookies, I mean, it's hard. Like we talked about at the very beginning, cookies are they're cookies. They're nostalgic, and they're a relationship piece that you can actually bond with someone on, because if you had our cookies, you would have that relationship with a prospect or a client or customer, to where that's fostering that relationship building. So
Tell me about how you use your own method, right? Of gifting to get new prospects. Do you mail them some cookies?
I just sent out 5 boxes today. So I targeted 2 financial advisors and then 3 founders here in the Portland metro area. And it's a very basic strategy that I think, we see users of our product doing. We have a few customers that are over 6,000 dozen boxes of cookies. They have sent one customer to medical practices for doctors. And you see the success. Obviously, you don't buy 6,000 dozen cookies without seeing some sort of ROI. And that's the easiest way to do it, is get the product into the target prospect's hands, follow it up with a phone call. And it's really just, again, cookies, relationship, it's there. They're more receptive to the call anyways. So it's so easy. But again, it's different for everyone.
Easy, right? You get cookies. You're like, wow, who sent me cookies? Maybe I'll talk to them, right? Right.
We hear it all the time from our customers, because not only that medical device company or the technology company, but there's solo individual contributors running their own direct mail campaigns. They'll get their list for the month of potential prospects, and they'll send a box of cookies to that list before they even start calling them, and they're seeing great success rates. So
I think that cold outreach is so hard today. If you are not doing something that is unique or unusual, you're you are having a hard time, right? You are
Yeah.
burning out SDRs and you are having a struggle. I mean, some SDRs can't even book the 5 meetings a week that, they're required to book.
Right.
But it is hard. And even if you're using dialing tools and all kinds of other, AI and everything that you can possibly use to try to reach people, they're not answering their phones, they don't answer their emails. So
Yep.
you get very few people who actually will talk to you. But when you send something in the mail, right, they're going to open it, and it really starts the relationship in a different way. I have a very good friend named Stu Heineck who wrote a book called How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. Have you ever read that book?
But I've heard of Stu's name.
Yeah,
I
well,
haven't
Stu,
read the
he
book.
also
Yeah.
wrote a book called How to Grow Your Business Like a Weed, but he calls it contact marketing. So, where you are actually sending something of value to that person
Yeah.
that will make them, think, wow, you took the time, you thought about this. He sends these really big posters where he draws a cartoon of the person. Now, he's a cartoonist, so he can do
Yeah.
that, right? But that's very unique. And he calls them big boards. They come in a big package. And so, of
Yeah.
course, people take delivery. They wonder what it is.
Yeah.
They open it. It's a cartoon of themselves, and that really starts the relationship, builds a relationship, and gets somebody on the phone with you. And I
Yeah.
think with all of this, the whole idea behind the gifting platforms is, hey, I'm going to show you that I'm not just doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I care about you. I want to give you a little gift, whether you do business with me or not, because this is precluding that, right? It's not
Yeah.
after you do business with me.
Right.
And hey, and if this seems good to you, great, then let's talk, right? So I think especially for a gifting company to send the gift, right? That works out really, really well. So
Yeah.
now let's talk a little bit about partners, right? So it sounds like
Yeah.
you're doing most of the selling right now. You're
Mhm.
sending out the emails, you're doing the follow-up phone calls, you're,
Mhm.
out meeting people, etc. But you've built this partner channel, and I think that is so important. So let's talk about that. How did you first decide, to build the partner channel? You mentioned a little bit, oh, we found out
Yeah.
there's this whole gifting, industry out there. And
Yeah.
who was the first that you approached, and how did that go? And how did you proceed to build your channel?
It's a great question. I go back to my friends who are in SaaS. Their current company used to have a gifting platform called Postal, and they were like, "We need you on Postal so we can start sending your cookies." And it's just the gifting platforms work so well with you're just not running a bunch of credit cards,
Right.
and it's a centralized payment process. So we got on Postal, and they were so kind to us. That's our first partner, postal.com. And I mean, they were so receptive to us. They obviously tested out the cookies. They loved the packaging. They loved our story, husband and wife team. And that was our first partnership. And then over the last 2 years, we've really worked hard on how do we grow that partnership to be a trusted vendor, a trusted partner that's executing on their behalf for their customers. So then we add Sendoso, Reach Desk, and the other ones. So
Now, did they come and find you, or did you go out and build that channel?
so this is where LinkedIn is really cool and
Uh-huh.
organic marketing. So we got on Postal, and immediately I was like, oh, there's a whole category of these gifting platforms. So let's reach out to all of them. And so I reached out to Sendoso, and they were full. Reached out to Reach Desk, and they were full. And at that point in time, we're really like kind of making noise, if you will. And people are posting our photos of the cookies with the gift message and the logo. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. We use them through Postal. So then the folks at Sendoso saw that, and they're like, hey, we need you on our gifting platform. So, wow, the space opened up magically.
From full to we need you.
That's called marketing. That is what we call marketing right there. So that happened. And then Reach Desk was like 2 months later. So the same concept. I mean, like you start making noise marketing, bringing awareness to your brand. And most folks are aware of, what marketing does. And we were happily accepted into their platforms. And we've been a trusted partner ever since. And we work every day with them.
Well, you have something that all companies wish they had, and that is word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
And so what is so phenomenal, right,
Yeah.
is that when you if you just hang around Grayson a little bit on LinkedIn, and you'll see that when people get the cookies, they go crazy, right? I remember when I
Yeah.
got mine, there was a post on my LinkedIn about the cookies. We were at an event,
Yeah.
and I had mentioned this earlier to Grayson. I couldn't eat them at the time because I was gluten free. So, but I was still so excited. I opened the box, I took pictures, I put it on my
Yeah.
LinkedIn. My friends ate them. They said they were delicious. So I was very excited because even if you can't eat the cookies yourself, you will know someone who will enjoy these cookies. It might be your own kids, your spouse, or just friends. But we were all so excited that there must have been, 39 posts that day because we all received those cookies at a
Yep.
meeting that we were at together. And then you start seeing, little different places, these cookies popping up, and there's pictures of them and people eating them and taking a bite and opening the box. And that is priceless. You can't pay for that, right?
No. I mean, you can't. And the people that use our service, so outside of me, obviously getting the benefit of it, um, the way we do our branding, which is subtle, it's not in your face, it's not we don't change out Grove Cookie Company box and put your logo on it, so it's in your face. The branding is very subtle with your logo on the gift message, which is the most important part of any gift. It's the gift message, not on a packing slip. It's a standalone card with a beautiful logo, all in color. And that's what people see when they first open the box. So they're immediately touched. It happens that the cookies are good. And now you get your own little marketing ecosystem out of a box of cookies.
Yeah.
A Yeti mug doesn't do that. T-shirts
No.
are okay. Pens and lanyards don't.
No.
And
Nobody's going to post their pen, right?
it's a $25 box of cookies, and no one's going to post their Starbucks gift card. So
Right.
you just start adding all these things, and that's where we've positioned ourselves. So positioning becomes a key part of our sales process, and it's just really fun because it's cookies. And no, I did not
Yeah.
have this on my plans of becoming a cookie dealer,
Well, I
if
was
you
going to
will.
ask you that.
So
Like when you were little, were you thinking, I'm going to be a cookie entrepreneur when I grow up?
no, I didn't. It's funny. My mom made cookies. I've always liked cookies, and so it's just a fun. It's a relationship product, and I like relationships, and I get a kick out of it when people send us feedback. We get reviews, we fine tune things, we get whether the feedback's positive or critiquing some things. It's all about building that relationship, and that's what this product does for me. And it fills my cup, if you will. So
And what's always interesting to me too is, okay, so neither of you were bakers and neither of
yeah.
you were in sales either, I'm assuming. You
Nope.
said you were in logistics. What was your
Yep.
wife doing before she started baking?
Well, she still has her corporate job. She works at Adidas, so she does
Okay, so she
merchandising. Yeah.
okay, but merchant that's helpful though. That's
Oh yeah,
helpful. And your
very much.
logistics background as well, right?
Yeah.
But neither of
Yeah.
you had been in sales. So
Correct.
how is it for you to be doing sales now? And when you first started doing it, like how did that feel?
Well, it's funny because all my 90% of my friends are in SaaS, so they all started as SDRs, and so all the stories, all the war stories they talk about, banging the phones and doing their thing in the early 2010s. I was just doing in 2021, 2022. So it was actually really fun, and I just took what I learned from them 7, 8 years prior, and applied it there. And LinkedIn again. I go back to LinkedIn because I learn a lot from LinkedIn. I learn a lot from people like Lori Richardson, who is the one that got you the cookies at your event.
Yes.
There's just so many people that share knowledge on sales, and you can just extract little pieces here and there that apply to you, or you think that fit your personality, because no one wants to talk to a robot. So yeah, that's how I learned. And yeah, there was a great training I actually took in 2022 that was awesome. So
Very good, very good. And so I want to
yeah.
hear what your pitch sounds like. Is it like, hey, hi, this is Grace and I'm calling about cookies.
No, gosh, my pitch is very like today. I called a financial advisor, and I obviously know who I'm calling, and so I just introduce myself. I'm Grayson. I'm the founder of Grove Cookie Company, right up the street from you in Tigard. I'd love to learn more about your business and if you do any sort of client gifting throughout the year. It's yes or no, or we've been thinking about it. Let's try your product, or, and there is objections where they're like, no, we don't do it. And then you slightly poke and just be like, have you ever thought about it or anything around the holidays? And it's just so conversational. Like, I'm not selling data enrichment tools.
Right.
I'm selling cookies. So
I love it. I love it so much. All right. So since you are now an expert in gifting, something you probably never dreamed you would be, I want to pick your brain a little bit and have a conversation with you about gifting, because I have some pretty strong opinions about it. So first of all, I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's nice when you can especially pick something that person will really love. And sometimes maybe it is coffee, because, there are those people who do go get their Starbucks every single day and they love it. But there's so many other different kinds of gifts to give. Right. And whether it's cookies or anything, let's talk about the strategy behind it. So I'm an SDR or an AE, a sales development rep, or an AE, an account executive that has to prospect, right? I've got to go find brand new clients. So what are some of the things I should think about? I mean, we always tell them, okay, use more than one method. Use LinkedIn, use the phone, use email, but rarely do we say use the mail, the U.S. Postal Service or UPS or FedEx, right? Rarely do we say that to them. So how do we start getting them to think beyond the phone and LinkedIn and email into gifting? That's the first part. How do we get them to start thinking that way?
Yes. So in today's day and age, a lot of people are remote. So your target account prospect might be remote. So it becomes a little difficult to find that direct mail piece, because again, you've got to find their house address, which is a little weird. But direct mail works a lot of times if you can piece together where headquarters is for the region. Say it's a bigger company, they're going to have multiple headquarters. But one of the tactics we've seen, and I apply to myself, is find where the office is, and then if they're in the region. So if I'm targeting someone in Seattle, the office is in Seattle, and that person happens to be in Seattle, you can sort of bridge the gap that, hey, they might go to the office once in a while. So direct mail works in that way. If you have a gifting platform, you have the ability to send gift links. So just like a digital gift card, well, you can send a digital gift link that links to a thoughtful gift. It's a little harder in those circumstances because, again, prospect might be cold, a little hesitant on getting a gift in exchange, clicking a link or getting a gift in exchange for something. It's just, there's psychology behind the whole gifting strategy in general. So that's why we always are big proponents of surprise and delight. And that's where direct mail works. That's where you got to get your marketing team involved. But if you are an SDR or an AE, you can do that yourself. Again, one of our power users up in Washington does it every month, gets his lead list, target accounts, sends 10 to 15 boxes. Once those boxes make their way to the destination, follows up with a phone call, gets someone to talk to, turns it into 2 or 3 opportunities for the month. I mean, he's over 200 boxes sent just from us. So it works. You just, those playbooks are just, we have them if you need them. So
in sales, we can definitely use it for prospecting, but I also love to send my clients a gift, right? And you can get their address because you can say, hey, I want to pop a little something in the mail to you. They pony up that home address real fast. Then you send them some cookies and they are absolutely delighted. Or send them, I like to also send little gift boxes with things that are soothing, like lavender smells and candles and soaps and things. People seem to love that. And the other thing I love to send is a good book, especially to my clients, right? Because I know them well enough to know that they're going to love a good book, but I always package them beautifully, right? To send it, because then they're, because it's part of part of the experience, especially with your cookies. It's opening that box, right? It's the
Yes.
packaging, and people get very excited about that. And so I think that's really important. So I think that we should use it for prospecting and sales, but we should also use it for our current customers.
Yes.
And I love also using it for our own employees, right?
Yes. Yep.
And vendors, right? We forget
Yes.
sometimes we should thank our vendors. And it's lovely to send them a gift as well.
Yep. A good vendor is very important. They're part of your supply chain, and they're the people you call when things go wrong or you need something, and having them well fed or get them educated on a good book is always great. I think the book is like a great gift, because again, you start building that relationship piece. Someone starts reading the same book as you and they message you, 2 weeks later. Yeah, they're like, I love that book you sent me, Alice. That was awesome. And there you go. You take it from there as, hey, here's another book I really enjoyed. You just start finding more commonalities between folks that maybe you didn't know. So
I actually think you can do it with prospects too, if you know the persona well. So for example, a VP of sales, which, is someone that you might be selling to. There are so many great books coming out from, so many people that I know on selling, right?
yes.
And there's so many oldies too that are really still good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send them a great book on sales that you love. Like, I like to send people a really, really old book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And people just go crazy when I send that to them. They love it. But then I also am constantly reading. So, I send a variety of different books out, but it really does make a difference. And I think for prospecting, you could use that if you knew the persona, if you were like VPs of sales in SaaS, you could pick some books that would really fit them, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you could use it that way as well. All right. So now I want to just talk about a pet peeve I have about gifting. Are you ready?
Tell me.
Okay. I wrote this. No, you have the same pet peeve that I have because it was on your LinkedIn. That's how I know, right?
Oh, I got to hear this.
Yeah, everybody wants to send gifts during what I call, because I've worked in the food business, over the years. And even as I mentioned to you, I had worked for a cookie with a very big cookie company that's well known, that, everybody's eating their cookies, right? So everybody wants to send you something during the eating season, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
basically Halloween to New Year's, right? Where it's just the eating season starts. It's like, Halloween, it's candy and dinner and fun. And then you've got rolling into, Thanksgiving and big dinners. And then you've got rolling into the, Hanukkah, and then Christmas, and then everything else in between. Right. And so everybody's sending their gifts then. Yep. And so what happens is I've got 20 gifts out there on my table, and, you're lost in a sea of gifts. Right.
Yes.
And so I want to recommend to everybody, Grayson, that they use gifting at other times of the year.
Oh, yeah. Towards the end of the quarter. It's
right?
Great. Yeah. Q1, Q2, Q3. It's fantastic. But no, I agree with you, because it happens to me all the time.
And it's
kitchen
true.
table.
Like, when I used to work in an office, like literally we would have more stuff, and it's like, you can't eat any more junk food. Everybody keeps sending you, right? And you just can't eat any more of it. So really, I tell people, here's how I think of it. Valentine's Day, 4th of July, the solstice, think of other, Halloween even is better than, after Halloween. It's just like too many gifts are coming, right? Especially after Thanksgiving. Forget it. You're lost in a sea of gifts. So be creative and use the gifting year round. You can send it anytime, but you will stand out if you send it some other time besides, that holiday season, right?
It's like creative outreach, creative gifting outreach, right? So you're using it outside of that Q4. Everyone's doing it. I think the budget has a lot to do with that, but got to spend the budget. But I definitely agree with you, and I think it's a good practice if you can stay true to it and commit to it. I think you see a lot more benefits than you would, say, a holiday gift.
Yeah. I mean, Valentine's Day is the time I do my clients because like we love our clients, right? So we send
Yes.
them something. And so that
Yep.
works out really well. But boy, are people surprised when they get something on the 4th of July.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's a great time to do it.
Right.
Love
So
that.
really cool. Okay. My gosh, the time is just flying by here. So I need to start wrapping up after having so much fun talking with you. But we have 3 questions that we want to ask. I just added this to my show recently. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And so I'm going to ask you these three questions. And I think I've told them to you in advance, so it shouldn't be too hard. The first one is, what is a book that you think every CEO should read?
Ooh, this book I'm almost done with. It's called Buy Back Your Time by
Okay,
Dan
now
Martell.
that is one I
Yeah.
haven't even heard of yet. So I'm writing
Yep.
that down
Just
over
came
here.
out. Just came out. So
Buy back your time. That is definitely something every CEO needs to do, right?
yeah. Yep. It's I summarize it so far as the benefits of an executive assistant, or again, goes back to teamwork more than anything, but buying back your time to think about the bigger parts of the business rather than the stuff I get always distracted by. So
that's right. We get
yeah.
busy working in our business instead of on our business, and we need
Yep.
other people to delegate things to, right? So we can work on our business.
E-Myth.
All right.
Do you read E-Myth, or have you read E-Myth?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, that's a good
one. I
read
it more than once. I read it
Same
years
here.
and years ago.
Yeah, great book. So
The E-Myth, great book. Michael Gerber, another good one to get. All right. What is a podcast that you love because it makes you think differently? So not necessarily a business podcast, but it could be.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I only listen to business podcasts.
Okay. Well, what's one that you listen to because it gives you ideas?
Yeah, I think listening to marketing focused podcasts as a CEO, founder is ultra important, because you could sales until your face turns blue, but marketing is really the driver behind increased sales velocity and all that fun stuff. But there's a gentleman named Chris Walker, very prominent LinkedIn marketer, business owner as well. And he puts out a lot of great content on his podcast that just drive home the fact of what marketing can do for a lacking sales department or a really good sales department. He's always driving home points that are great to be reminded about. So Chris Walker, I can't remember what the Revenue Vitals is the podcast name. So Revenue Vitals. I haven't
heard of that one.
So,
I'll look at that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Chris Walker. Okay, good. And last, what does every CEO need to know in order to win in this market?
Oh my gosh. If you're not leveraging organic marketing, whatever channel that might be, I highly suggest it, because our whole business so far has been built off that and partnerships. And I mean, your face name as a CEO or founder is, I mean, you're the best champion of your business, in my opinion. And it's easy to do. Look what we're doing right now. So we're on a podcast with Alice. We're here. We're chatting.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. And this is evergreen, or however you want to describe it, because this will live somewhere and it will be out there, and it's constantly being shared or viewed, and it's great. So that's my one piece of advice.
Yeah, I agree with you. Using LinkedIn, being on podcasts, sharing your thoughts, in articles, whatever way works for you, right? But it's really important to be out there as a CEO, because people want to know who they're buying from, right? They want to know you. They want to see a real person behind this. Like, who makes those cookies anyway, right?
Who is this goofy guy posting about cookies on LinkedIn? What?
Right.
What? Let me follow him. Oh my gosh, this guy is wild. So yeah, I get feedback quite often, which is great. I mean, people are seeing it. Yep. So yeah.
I love it. All right. So where can people find you if they want to taste some of those delicious cookies?
Yeah. Well, groveccookiecompany.com is our website, and it's up there on the board. And I'm Grayson Hogard, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And I mean, those are the two spots that I think are the best ways to find me, interact with me, say hi, or
So
try our
Grayson, we have a
cookies.
rule here at Sales Talk for
Yes.
CEOs that if anybody wants to connect with a guest, they have to say that they met them here on my show.
Oh,
Otherwise,
there
don't
you
take
go.
their connection.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, no, that's great. I think it's awesome. I think that's the best way to be like, hey, I listened to your podcast. I thought it was interesting, or I thought it sucked. Yeah, no, but yeah, I think that's the best way. If you hear
It's
someone on
a
a
surefire
podcast,
way to get your
oh,
your request
accepted.
accepted
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a
because they're like, "Oh, you
compliment.
listened to my podcast?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, look at that. It's a relationship starter right there. It's
exactly.
relational. There we go. So, yeah,
100%. Well, oh my
yeah,
gosh, Grayson, thank you so much for
yeah.
being on the show. This has been amazing. Your story is terrific. 3 years in, and here you keep growing, and I love it. You've
Thank
got
you.
these channels you're selling through, which is amazing. And
Yep.
I'm going to keep my eye on you and those cookies, and I know you're going to
Well,
do great things.
well, thank you, Alice. It was a pleasure and an honor, and I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday or Wednesday.
Great.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
almost
it's
the end of
still
the week.
Wednesday, right? It's going by fast.
Well, thank.
If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.